We've got another Thursday night football betting preview for you guys right now. Max Chadwick alongside Mason Cameron. We've got the Baltimore Ravens and the Miami Dolphins, two teams that have been struggling this year, but two teams that really need this Thursday night to get their seasons back on track. Mason, before we dive into this year's matchup between the Ravens and the Dolphins, what should we know about these two teams when they play each other in the past?
Well, they've had some burners in the last few years. A couple of really good matchups. 3 matchups between Tua and Lamar. Baltimore has been the favorite in each of them, but they've only been 1-3 straight up and 1-3 against the spread. So a little bit of trouble there covering some pretty lofty spreads. If you guys remember in 2021, that was the Brian Flores game where he put Lamar in knots with the 0 blitzes. 2022, Lamar and Tua had a shootout, 80 total points. Lamar, 318, 3 touchdowns. Tua, 469, 6 touchdowns. Wow. Absolutely explosive offense. And then in 2023, that was the Lamar MVP season. He capped that off with a 54-19 win over this team. He had a 95.0 PFF grade in that game. That was the second highest single game grade of his career. So pretty explosive for them. When we talk about them in this year for 2025, the betting markets haven't been super favorable for Baltimore. They're struggling a little bit amid sort of the Lamar injury, the defensive issues. They're 2-5 against the spread, but they have covered their only game as more than touchdown favorites. Max, if you remember, that was the 12.5-point game at home against Cleveland in week 2. But they are only 2-3 against the spread as favorites this year with 2 outright losses on the road. So this is definitely going to be one that we have to watch for. And then Miami, they've been a little bit better in betting markets. 4-4 against the spread overall. They're coming off a big win in Atlanta as 7-point underdogs. And now that moves them to 2-0 when they are touchdown dogs or more this season. So pretty impressive. They've also been very competitive at home, 2-1 against the spread. So this is definitely going to be an interesting one for sure. It might not look like it on the win-loss column, but definitely some juice in this game.
Yes, the Ravens are 7.5-point favorites in this one, so it should be interesting to note with Miami as 2-0 as touchdown dogs this year too. What should we know? Mason. I'm saying Dalton so many times. Wow, that was very mean of me to say that right there. Sorry about that.
That was rude.
Mistaking you for Dalton is the biggest insult I think I can give you.
I have far more hair. More hair.
What should we know about these two teams in this matchup this year?
It's been a bit of a similar story for both of these teams, Max. They're pretty solid offensively, but defensive struggles have really been the mainstay for them, and that's really been where their trouble lies. For Baltimore, we talk about these Lamar splits. With Lamar, this is a top 10 team in EPA per play, success rate, touchdown drive percentage. They have been incredible, one of the most high-powered units when Lamar is on the field. And understandably, without him, they have struggled, but not only struggled, they've struggled mightily. Bottom 5 in all 3 of those categories I just listed. And then the defensive struggles on top of it have just been a lot of trouble. They've been doing some things to try to get better, and they have shown some improvements, but a big thing is just coming off of they struggle to generate pressure at a massive degree. They only have 3 players with 10 or more pressures this season: Travis Jones, Odafe Owe, and Nnamdi Madubuike. So, we talk about that. Owe's a Charger now. Madubuike hasn't played since week 2. That is not a great look for a defense that has built off of being able to pressure the quarterback for years. And when we talk about they've been very poor in coverage to start the season, but like I said, they're making some improvements. Last season, Max, if you remember, they had some struggles in coverage, and they moved Kyle Hamilton to the back end to play safety, and they absolutely exploded. They went from, bottom half of the league in EPA per dropback allowed to the best team in EPA per dropback allowed from week 10 forward, and they did a little bit similar thing this year. They moved him back into the slot. They moved him into the box. He's been playing some linebacker. It's interesting because he is, one of the most dynamic weapons in the NFL. Not every player can do that, but he can, and he really brings a different phase to this team. And they've went on to post some pretty solid performances. They were 29th in EPA per dropback before that. Now they're about middle of the league at 15th. So they're really making some headway there. And then when we talk about Miami, it's a little bit of a similar thing. Not very good on defense, but they've shown some success on offense, particularly when they're at home. And what we've seen is they get a significant boost in EPA per play and success rate when they're at home. But the biggest one is how much they're scoring at home versus on the road. On the road, just 34% scoring percentage. At home, that number boosts up to 50%.
Wow.
So much more impressive at home. And really, like I said, their defensive struggles have been not good, to say the least. Last week, they actually played a really good game against Atlanta, so you'd hope that that's going to sort of give them some energy and boost them up. But otherwise, they've really struggled in a lot of facets. They're 29th in total team defensive grade. They're bottom 10 in all 4 major grading facets for the defense: run defense, coverage, pass rush, and tackling. So that's really been a tough look, but we've been seeing some great play out of Jalen Phillips. He's been looking healthy for the first time in a while, and he's in the top 15 in edge defender pass rush grade at 80.4. So you're really hoping that he can be a guy that is a shining light for them and really excels for them to bring this defense to another level.
So 2 offenses that have shown life, 2 defenses that have struggled. And as you mentioned before at the top of the video, Mason, in the past when these 2 meet, there's always a lot of fireworks. I'm guessing what you're going to be doing for the best game bet. What is your best game bet tonight?
You know me, Max. You know me. We're going over on the game total here. About 50.5 to 51 points. I'm going to be taking the over there. 51 is a pretty key number there when we talk about some of these game totals, and I am still liking the over in that regard. When we talk about these teams through this season, they are combined 12-2-1 in going over on game totals. This number is moving as we speak. So make sure you guys, if you're liking that bet, make sure you guys get in on it early, because it is going to be a fireworks show potentially right there. What I'm seeing when we talk about median game totals for both of these teams, at Miami, it's about 49.5 points. For Baltimore, it's all the way up to 57 points. So a lot of potential there for some fireworks.
All right, so over 50.5. Bet it right now because, like Mason said, it is moving as we speak right now, too. Before we get to the best player prop bets for Thursday Night Football, which, of course, you use the beautiful PFF app for that, you can get that PFF Plus app for 25% off right now when you use the promo code PFF NFL Show 25. And you get all the same data and analytics that every single one of all 32 NFL teams subscribe to. You get access to our fantasy football tools, of course, the betting tools that Mason's showing you guys right now. And we're not only giving out picks for Thursday Night Football, we're giving out picks for Sunday and Monday Night Football too, because every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, we have the PFF NFL Betting Show live here on this channel with Mason, with Ben, with Judah. They're making a ton of money this year. You guys are up. How many units again total? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's been cooking.
It was like 90 units like 2 weeks ago.
Ben is on fire right now. Ben is 8-0 over the last 4 weeks for his combined game prop and player prop.
Wow.
So make sure you guys get in there, show Ben some love. He's been absolutely killing it.
Yeah, Mason and Judah are doing great too. I mean, yeah, they're up so many units right now. So anything that you spend on a PFF Plus subscription, you'll make back and then some if you tail those guys' bets on the Friday morning betting show. All right, Mason, let's open up the beautiful PFF Plus app right now, and let's give the people the best player prop bets for Thursday Night Football. What's your favorite player prop bet on Thursday?
So my favorite one for this game, we talked about it a little bit with how explosive this game is going to be, and I think that you can't miss here on Tua Tagovailoa going over 1.5 passing touchdowns at plus money. He's coming off a monster 4-touchdown performance, and that's his 5th multi-touchdown game of the year. So he's had a lot of really impressive, impressive might be a little bit strong. He hasn't really exploded in the yardage in a lot of situations, but he throws a lot in the red zone, and he has been putting points on the board with his arm. That's something that we're going to want to see in this matchup where, like I said previously, the Ravens have shown some improvements in coverage, but they still rank 27th in passing touchdowns allowed. They've allowed 9 over their last 4 games. So that's somewhere that Tua can really exploit this team. And stylistically, this is a matchup that is an advantage for Tua. The Ravens run a ton of man coverage. They're the 3rd highest coverage rate man coverage rate in the NFL, 39.9%. Only a few teams run man coverage above 35%, and they're one of them. When we talk about Tua's track record against man coverage, it's been impressive. And his splits versus man coverage and zone coverage are stark. The contrast is there. He is a 91.1 PFF passing grade versus man coverage. That's the third best in the NFL. In zone, it's not quite as pretty at about 54.3. So that is a huge difference from when he sees man coverage versus when he sees zone coverage. And he's even better when he gets a clean pocket, which hasn't been the case for him a lot this year. He has he's 30 points higher on the grading scale when he's clean versus when he's pressured. So that's something that they want to do, keep him upright. And that's something that the Ravens have really struggled with, like we talked about earlier. They're 29th in team pressure rate. They're one of just 4 teams to generate pressure on under 30% of their dropbacks this season. The other teams on this list that fall below that mark, the Panthers and the Jets, Tua had 5 combined touchdowns and 0 interceptions in those games. I really like Tua to find the end zone twice this week.
Yeah, you look at the PFF app right here. He has gone against similar defenses. So like the Ravens that have struggled in coverage this year, you can see right there he's hit over 1.5 passing touchdowns in the last 4 games against defenses that also have struggled a little bit in coverage this year too. So yeah, I like that bet a lot, Mason, too. And also, hopefully, we get Lamar Jackson back this week after being out for a couple games with that injury. Is there a bet that you like for him against Miami?
Yeah, so for Lamar this week, I'm really looking into how healthy that hamstring is going to be, how much he's going to be back and up to speed. You know, the situation last week, we've been talking about it a little bit. It sort of makes sense that I'm not as concerned if he is going to start this week. I'm pretty confident that he'll be out there, especially after the situation last week where I felt that they thought they had a light week. They thought they maybe were going to be able to beat the Bears regardless. So they went out and they gave him a little bit of extra rest. I think he is going to be back, but this question still remains. How's the hamstring going to hold up? How's he going to feel? So I think when we look at this, I'm going to take the rushing under on his attempts at 6.5. What we're seeing is that he's only done this in 1 game this season so far in one of his 4 starts. And with that hamstring injury, I think he's going to be coming off of a few less designed runs. I don't think they're going to throw as many of that into the game plan. Now, that leaves up the ability for scrambling. And when we talk about this, I think that Miami hasn't really been the team that's gotten scrambled on a ton this year because they really let up a lot of open receivers. They're 10th highest rate in the NFL in open target rate. So Lamar's going to be able to find open receivers and really feed them. And when we talk about what they've allowed this 2 quarterbacks this season, they've only allowed the over to hit on this line in 3 of their 8 games. Guys like Josh Allen have gone under this number. So with that type of thing, I think that he's going to err on the side of picking this defense apart with his arm as opposed to his legs. And then when they do want to attack on the ground, it's really going to be the Derrick Henry show. So I'm going to go under on 6.5 rushing attempts there.
Yeah, you can see in all 4 of the games that Lamar has played in this year, he has actually gone under on all 4 of those games right there too. So yeah, I kind of like this bet too, just because you don't know how healthy he's going to be. You know, it's been 5 weeks since he last played too. Yeah. So hopefully he's healthy and hopefully we see Lamar out there. But I agree, I don't know how much they're going to want to run Lamar Jackson in this Thursday night football game. So just a reminder, the best bets for this Thursday night, according to Mason, are the over on the game total at 50.5 points, Tua Tagovailoa over 1.5 passing touchdowns, and Lamar Jackson under 6.5 rushing attempts. Once again, reminder, check out the PFF NFL betting show every Friday morning at 10 a.m. to get the best bets for Sunday football and Monday night football as well. And of course, we'll be back next week with the best bets for Thursday night football. For Mason Cameron, I'm Max Chadwick. We'll see you guys next time.